Hi everyone, Tom here today with a very special segment here on our YouTube channel. Today we will be talking about all things Halo action figures with a focus on the brand new line from Jazwares. Joining me for this discussion we have Aaron Margolin, brand manager for Halo, and Greg Mitchell, director of boys marketing at Jazwares.
Hello.
Hi. Thanks for having
How's it
us.
going, guys? Yeah, no worries. Thank you for coming on.
It's our pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
Super.
no worries at all. I imagine it's an exciting time for you guys. You know, products are rolling out there now. People are getting them in hand, posting about them. Has that all been quite exciting?
Yeah, I get tagged in photos I get tagged in the coolest, like I'm actually glad that my brain immediately went to this because it's a thing that's like always honestly I wake up to, I check my Instagram and I've been tagged in like the coolest looking creative photo of, something Spartan Collection, something World of Halo, but it's like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever, and it's just the beginning. So yeah, no, I mean, I'm pretty excited with how things are going.
Wicked. Greg, have you been happy seeing the general reaction so far as well?
Yeah, it's really gratifying. It's weird. Even if this wasn't a strange year where like everyone is kind of thinking differently, living differently, shopping differently, this is probably one of the most exciting and catch fire right away launches I've ever been a part of.
Cool.
And that's saying a lot. Like I've been grateful to be on a lot of really great teams and brands, but something about this year, something about Halo, and I'm proud to say something about our figure lines is really resonating. And I think that with the rise of creative influencers and creative content generators out there who just love buying stuff and taking beautiful pictures of it and sharing their ideas and reviewing them on YouTube, it's like Aaron said, it's been an avalanche of interactivity with the consumer, and it's so great to be a part of that and to get that feedback in real time.
Yeah, no, that's really good to hear. Awesome. Well, obviously we are here to talk about the line, and I'm really excited to dive into that. But before we do, it would be nice to hear a little bit more about obviously the both of you, and how you began working for Jazzwares. So, Aaron, why don't you take this first?
Sure, yeah. My background originally was not in toys. I went to school for writing for television and film, and then I grew up and went to school in Chicago, Illinois, and then I immediately moved to LA because that's just what you do when you want a career in writing for TV or film. Wanted to focus on animation, but like kind of perpetually wanted to be a child at heart in some way, do things that I loved. So I was doing freelance editing, freelance sound design, freelance kind of everything, just to pay the bills when I was reached out to by my good friend who works on the Pokemon brand. At the time, it was Wicked Cool Toys.
Cool.
And she was like, hey, do you want to for this Pokemon toy? And I have been a lifelong Pokemon fan, so I was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. So I was brought in, and then I literally just for that one gig, I was like, if you guys need anything else, just let me know. Obviously, it was like I needed more work, but B, this is so cool, toys and a cool brand that I love. A year later, or throughout that time, I start temping for them. I assist the design team, the leadership at Wicked Cool, very, I think, smartly positioned me. They're like, I don't think this guy's a designer. He has no artistic skills, but man, he likes to write and he loves brands. So then I got positioned to work in the brand area of things, and that is actually when I started on Halo about a little over a year ago. So I was doing both brands, but I guess I was worth keeping, but yeah, that's kind of how I got my start in the toy industry. It's been about 2 years now since, actually 2 years from 2 days, in 2 days, I will have 2 years working for this company. So very,
Cool.
very happy.
Well, happy anniversary in advance then.
Thanks.
Cool. And then Greg, how about you?
Yeah, funnily enough, Aaron and I both come from a similar background. I was a writer. As a teenager, I talked my way into a job at MTV News and then leveraged that into like a 10-year career at MTV doing TV, writing, creative, pre-production, production, even like when I had to start paying the bills and be less creative and on crazy hours because I had a young son at home, even post-production, which is a little bit more firmer hours. So I basically touched everything at MTV for a good 10 years. Because MTV is part of MTV Networks, also home of Nickelodeon, there came a time where I realized I think I had 2 pilots written that got picked up to develop, or at least held, and then both fell apart. And my broken heart and need to feed my family, to put a roof on the table and food over our heads, led me to a more stable job situation. And thank God it was Nickelodeon. They hired me as a fledgling licensing coordinator just because I was just a toy nut. I was a collector. I had all my toys. I loved buying new toys. So they saw something in me. And then, I guess 15 years later now, across multiple years there, Jack specific, I ran Power Rangers for, it felt like forever, but it was really, I think, only like about 4 years, but that equates like 7 or 8 seasons worth of product. Yeah. And then I was very proud to get the call to Wicked Cool Toys, which is now part of the Jazwares family.
Cool, nice. So it's cool hearing how you've both kind of come from that similar creative background, because then obviously that feeds into the work you do now, which is really nice. And I guess kind of on the topic of the work that you do now, what do your day-to-day jobs involve then? I'll start with you this time, Greg. I feel like I'll be doing this back and forth, probably switching it up, but we'll just go with it like that.
Yeah, sure, no problem. For me, I'm a director of brands, and I've got a portfolio of a number of boys brands. So in general, but even specifically with Halo, in my leadership role, I work to kind of set strategy for the brand direction. The brand team is kind of, in a lot of ways, the nucleus for a lot of what's going on in product development and the sell into retail, coordinating with marketing to create marketing programs and PR programs that have all the values and attributes of the brand from the core, which of course infuses the product, which infuses and how you sell it into the retail buyers. And then even again, to the extent that, Aaron and I extend ourselves even, to the public once it's launched. And an important part of that too is the licensor. In this case with Halo, our licensor is 343 and Microsoft. Yeah. So there's a lot of day-to-day management, problem solving, opportunity chasing that goes on there. Across the board. So it's the toy business is a multi-pillared structure, and the brand team is proud to be a central part of that, and that's what keeps me busy 60 hours a week.
Cool. Well, yeah, that is a lot of hours to fill. And then Aaron, what about you? What does your kind of day-to-day role involve?
So I mentioned earlier, so the first thing I generally do when I wake up is I check social media, and that's like both like a recreational thing, but like legitimately a professional thing. I think a big part of the job is knowing what's going on with the brand that you're working on, like everything. And like Halo releases, it feels like 343 releases something every day. It's incredible. And then, any post pertaining to work, I always try to hone in on, see any kind of feedback, anything like that, any exciting things going on in the fan community. A, lets me know that people are happy, and B, it lets me know that, what fans are clamoring for. But in terms of work, my job is essentially to make sure that every figure, everything that we release feels as awesome and brand loyal as an official Halo figure should be. Cool. I always say that you can tell when a circle is a circle and when a circle is not. The same familiarity goes for like an iconic brand like Halo, right? So fans can tell when something is off or not loyal to the source material. I assist the team in ensuring that everything is perfect, that it's a circle. Or I should say a Halo ring, I guess. I assist with things like character rollouts and selections, armor variants, weapon loadouts. All the strategic branding around our line is done by myself, as well as hearty collaboration from the entire team, leadership from Greg. I just think that, like, despite that I love doing all this stuff and putting everything in, I really think that collaboration as a whole makes the product stronger.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's really cool to hear. And it's nice hearing that obviously you were so on it with all of that stuff, because I feel like as fans a lot of the time we tend to be very outspoken when there's something that's not right. So I feel like the fact that I haven't seen any of that shows that actually you've been doing that and you've been making sure, you know, the Marines have got the right armor, Chief's got the right rifle, all of that kind of stuff. So that's really cool.
There's a lot of little details. A lot of little details. And the older the brand gets, right, the more little details and the more legacy, right? You know, certain weapons don't show up in certain games, certain vehicles don't either, and you know, certain armors evolve over time. So yes, it's my job to make sure that I know about that, and thankfully I have a good background of knowledge with it.
Cool. Well, that leads nicely into my next question then, which is, what is your history with the Halo brand? Do you both have personal relationships with it beyond obviously your professional ones?
I was not allowed to play Halo as a kid.
Okay.
I still played Halo as a kid. No, so I was not. Yeah, I mean, I grew up only playing Game Boy Advanced, and it was mostly just, you know, a fixation on Nintendo properties. But like, you know, obviously, like, Halo was the coolest thing. It was the coolest thing at school. It was the coolest thing. Any one of my friends who had cool parents that let them play first-person shooters, you know, we're talking about. So actually, my first experience with Halo, I was visiting my grandmother's house, and she had a she had a Windows computer, and it was on vacation. I think my parents were like busy doing something else. So I was like, wait, Halo has a demo. Combat Evolved has a demo. And I'm I think so I download it, and lo and behold, that Combat Evolved demo is incredible. You got Silent Cartographer campaign, and then you've got like just Blood Gulch, I think.
Yeah.
So I was super familiar with Blood Gulch, to the point where anytime I would play Halo with my friends, going over to their houses after, I'd be like, guys, we should play on Blood Gulch, because I like knew everything.
Yeah.
But so when I was 10, the like Halo 3 came out, and I a little bit older, I started playing it with my friends at my cool friends' houses, and that's really when, like, I mean, the multiplayer experience, right, for Halo is like, it's so iconic for so many people as they've grown up, and like that's definitely the same for me. It was just like so ingrained in the late nights.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that, like, campaigns, that came kind of later for me, because again, like, I did not get an Xbox system until I was in my teens, and like that, but that was always on the backlog for me. It was like, oh my god, like, I've played the multiplayer of every Halo game, but I've never played through the campaigns outside of Silent Cartographer a million times. Yeah. What happens? Yeah, so it was mostly like multiplayer 2, 3, and eventually Reach. But yeah, I mean, by the time I was out of high school, I had played every Halo game to have come out, and I've loved the IP ever since I first sneakily downloaded the demo at my grandmother's house.
Nice.
That's funny. The way Aaron, kind of backdoored his way into the demo, like surreptitiously and clandestinely experienced the game for the first time. It's kind of like how I snuck my first like NWA tape or Guns N' Roses tape into the house. No stickers on the Memorex tape, so no one could guess what it was unless they press play on it. Yeah. Listening to it at night, thinking under the covers of my bed would somehow make it even more secretive. But yeah,
that made it better.
It's funny to have your first Master Chief experience like that as well.
Yeah, that made it better. It was so much better. I was like, I had to it was like I got to right at the end, and I think my parents were sleeping in the next room, and at the end of the demo, Johnson like starts yelling at you to buy the game. He does this great sales pitch. It's iconic. It's so good. But I think I got surprised by it because I was pretty young, and I like yanked back, and the headphones got yanked out, and all of a sudden Johnson's voice is yelling through my grandmother's house. So I was like, okay, gotta cover my steps here. Yeah, that's right.
It just gives you a sense too of how different it was back then. Like, Halo was rated M for mature, right? Yeah. And console gaming, like moms and dads it took years for them to kind of get comfortable to some extent with first-person shooters and the types of games that, the media would give that broad brushstroke of a violent game, you're shooting other things. And funny how over the years, those games became such a fabric of not just gaming culture, but pop culture, that it's different times now in 2020, Whereas back then, yeah, like that was a legit thing. Like you didn't see Halo or Call of Duty product outside the video game aisle for years at retail because, you know, you never wanted to scare mom or the non-gaming dad into like going, oh my God, little Johnny's playing what? Little Aaron sneakily downloaded demo of what?
Yeah. What are all these random
Gaming
guys
changed
on
so
this
much in
beach
20
with
years.
guns?
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I will ask you how you got into it in a second, Greg, but I feel like I'm gonna shock both of you guys, because if you couldn't tell by the baby face, which our listeners won't be able to see, my first Halo experience in terms of multiplayer was actually Halo Reach back in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very, very different for me because obviously you had at the height of that a lot of product on shelves and things like that. So it's really interesting hearing about how long it actually took them to get to that level. Because for me, it's just always been a case of, oh, there's loads of action figures everywhere I can buy. Cool.
Right. all that amazing upward momentum that Bungie established in the early years. I mean, Halo 1 revolutionizing everything, and then 2 being the biggest esport ever.
Yeah.
3's insane marketing campaign, and that you literally could not breathe without seeing the very first iteration of Game Fuel. And then that's cool though. It's such a great time to jump into, because I think that was actually my first like personal like major like outside of the demo thing. I think Reach was my first one too, and it, you know, I'll talk about that later, I'm sure.
Yeah. So Greg, how did you get into it?
So this is another one of these interesting, like, just organic bookends that Aaron and I both represent, right? So mine began during weird times, actually. Think about 2001. I was roughly Aaron's age, if you can believe it or not. And that was weird times. You think about it. It was, you know, it was the autumn of 2001. I'm a New Yorker, so life was kind of weird at that point.
Yeah.
And in parallel to just the weirdness of daily life, you know, post September 11th. You had weird things happening, and you also had like little glimpses of like just distraction and hope, right? Xbox and GameCube, I think if they didn't come out literally the same day, there was like a 1 day difference. But all I know, all my friends and I at MTV, we were just losing our minds going, oh my God, you know, there's Toys R Us Times Square across the street. We're going to go out there at lunch hour. We're going to get consoles. We're going to plug them into you know, the cubicles and in the break room, and we're going to have a gaming session. And I was a Nintendo guy through and through. So I was like, GameCube.
Yeah.
And then my coworker Peter, he got the Xbox, and he fired that thing up. And our boss was in his office looking at us like, "What are these idiots doing out there?" And I got my first real, actual, legit glimpse at Master Chief and Halo Combat Evolved, and I was just like, "Oh wow, okay, I'm not regretting my purchase at all. I'm a Nintendo GameCube dork, but what am I looking at here? Like this, I knew about Halo because of the hype and helping build the Xbox's launch with it, but I was like very peripherally there to see it. And then I saw it plugged in, and I was like, wow, okay. And, you know, the hindsight you get as a maturing adult, you realize what a poignant time to release one of the most singular symbols of hope, Master Chief, during a time where we didn't know what day-to-day life was going to be like. We were looking for, like, my dad was like, thank God a Bob Dylan album came out. And I'm like, thank God the GameCube came out. And then I was like, whoa. Thank gosh we have Master Chief now. And it was a strange moment of time, but we got like our first glimpse at like a symbol of, even today, and what he represents in Infinite, a hero for hope. And that was kind of weird. I couldn't have verbalized it then, but I kind of see it and feel it now.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It almost offers you that escapism when you need it most without even realizing that that's what you're looking for.
Yes,
yeah,
I guess.
I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting it in the form of an amazing Microsoft product. I was just happily my, you know, I'm going to play some GameCube, and my eyes got opened, and I became a more sophisticated and mature, I think, gamer as a result.
No, cool. Well, I'm going to throw a bit of a hard question in here. If you had to pick a Halo, like a favorite Halo game, which one would you guys choose?
I went first last time. I need to think. Greg.
Okay, fine. I can answer that. Again, I always try to take the emotional perspective on something. Like a fun game is a fun game, and I love fun games. If I think about it, and Tom, this taps into a little bit of your age group and your first real true perspective on the franchise. I'd go with Reach.
Cool.
My sons and I, that was the first person shooter game we played together. It was the right game, perfect perfect in many ways game anyway, regardless of that emotional attachment. But my older son and then my younger son just getting the feel of a controller beyond just the usual Mario Kart controls. It was the first game like that we could play together. And it was fun and it was cooperative, and we ran around having a hell of a time playing together. And then all of a sudden my nephew, who was much more into sports and theater and being outside, all of a sudden, much to his his mother's dismay, boom, he was in the house playing Halo. And now we're all plugged in like idiots, loving every minute of it and doing that for the first time together. And that was really cool. My two sons have since eclipsed me. In fact, I think that was the game that was the pivot point for them eclipsing me in gaming. They're both gaming prodigies, and I had nothing to teach them after Reach. Like they basically taught me every step of the way. So amazing game, and just a really nice personal experience with it that we still kind of really hold to ourselves to this day.
No, that's really awesome. I think for me, I always go back and forth between Reach and ODST because of, like you say, that kind of more emotional side as well. Because I feel like in terms of their storytelling, they're both very much about, in Reach's case, it's going from being the like overwhelming force to them being the underdog to having a glimmer of hope at the end. Yeah. Whereas in ODST, it's like, okay, we've been dropped into this, situation. We don't know what to do here. And then slowly you kind of figure it out. So, no, I think that's cool. What about you, Aaron?
It's cool that you and I actually have the same answer. Yeah, so ODST. Okay, so ODST, Reach, it's Reach and ODST. When I was younger, ODST came out. My cool friend got it. We started playing it. Started playing the campaign, a little bit of it, and I was like, "What? You're not Master Chief? You're not a Spartan?" I remember being like, "This sucks. Oh man!" Like, and keep in mind, like I'm 10, I'm whatever, or I'm 9 or whatever. Let's talk about Reach, and then we'll actually go back because I started playing ODST and the Master Chief Collection. So Reach was the pivot. And it wasn't even a social experience for me in terms of like, Reach was the moment where you're exactly right. It is grounded. It is not. You still got the super soldiers. You still got most of them are Spartan 2s and 3s. Overwhelming odds for sure, but it went from a wartime thrilling blockbuster to a wartime tragedy. Yeah. It's a truly tragic war tale, and that is the coolest thing. For again, like gaming has evolved so much over time, and the way we tell stories through gaming has evolved over time, and you can see Combat Evolved changed the way that we tell stories in video games. Reach changed the way that we tell stories through gaming 100%. At no point when I was younger or whatever, like playing through any of the OG games 1 through 3, I was like, Master Chief's not going to die. There's no way he's going to die. There's no risk to this. As a kid, I wasn't like, I'm not invested because there's no risk. But like ODST, I remember playing ODST, but like Reach, I remember playing it going, oh my God, is anyone going to survive this?
Yeah.
And the answer is yes, June. But I guess. But no, I mean, like it really hit me hard. The mortality of it all. So let's go back to ODST now. I'm playing in Master Chief Collection, and I really playing it now, really dedicating time. And I was like, oh man, this is like up there in terms of like what I want out of like a Halo game. Because like as much as I love Master Chief, this is so grounded. This is so cool. It's a noir, which is insane. That is an insane turn to go from literally finishing the fight in 3, big, epic, and then it's like, what about a noir? What if all of the music was led by a saxophone?
Yeah.
And it's awesome. It's amazing because you're like, holy crap! Like, how are they going to get out of this? How's the rookie going to get out of this? Oh, not rookie. Excuse me. No, it is rookie.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, thank you. I always confuse rookie in 6. But yeah, no, it's really it's definitely up there. ODST and Reach for sure.
No, that's cool. I feel like we could probably just gush about Halo games for an entire other show. But yeah, no, it's nice to hear we're all kind of like around the same sort of train of thought with that as well. Cool. So we will start moving into Toy Talk, since that is why we're here after all. So just before we jump into the line, I'm interested. What action figures did you guys grow up with? Do you still collect any of them now? And do you have a favorite toy line of all time? So that is, I realize there's going to be a lot of thought there. So if you want to just take a minute, think it through, go for it. I'll give you some context again for my age. I grew up, and this is showing just how young I am, with the Star Wars The Clone Wars toys from Hasbro. So it was that golden age where you could get a clone turbo tank in 3 3/4 inch scale. So that's kind of where I would go with that. So feel free to take it away, whichever one of you feels more confident.
Most of my Jack specific at the time salary went to that line. I think we literally have every single unit produced by Hasbro in that line because, again, my kids were that perfect age to indulge my Star Wars history, but also to like watch it, love it, and play it and want to be it themselves. So yeah, like my toy salary went to another toy company a lot that 1 to 3 years there.
Yeah. No, that was a really cool line growing up with. Like, I remember for Christmas one year, I got the ATTE that they did, and just having this massive walker in scale with those figures just blew my mind. And I still look back at that today and just can't get my head around how Hasbro managed to make all the like logistics of that line alone work. It's just incredible to me.
Yeah. I mean, being the oldest guy on the call, the DNA of that line, the Star Wars Kenner line, that was definitely my go-to as a kid. I'm that perfect like 80s brat era of the trifecta. There would be Star Wars Kenner, G.I. Joe 82 through 86, arguably 87 with a couple of the figures and vehicles in there from Hasbro, and then of course the G1 Transformers that Hasbro kind of brought in, but really didn't kind of touch too much from the Takara line. I mean, they were so perfect in so many ways. That's my Mount Rushmore of growing up with toys. Now, granted, I bought everything. I still love Motu. I loved Inhumanoids. I had a whole bunch of Micronauts by accident. So I loved toys, which is why today is not a big surprise. But those are the 3 things that essentially changed my life. And I've made sure to bring those into my kids' lives as well, either through, hey, I love these, you want to play them? And then just finding those brands themselves. But then stuff I never got to enjoy as a kid, just through circumstance or time, like Thomas the Tank Engine. Mattel's Pixar Cars line for the first movie was like one of the most flawless vehicle lines ever made. And probably most importantly for my kids, because they both went through a minimum of 3 phases each, arguably 4 each, Pokemon, which if I was their age, I would have absolutely done the same thing too. I've got a Pokemon tattoo at this point in my life. So yeah, good time to be a kid and a dad.
Yeah, definitely. Aaron, what about you?
I'll pick up those like my very early childhood. I literally played the Pokemon games before I could read.
Yeah.
I think it helped teach me how to. I'm sure it did out of necessity. I was like, I need to know what I'm doing. I just released my Togepi. But no, for real, like Pokemon, all things, cards, the games, and figures as well. And then as I grew older, it was so funny. Bionicles.
Yeah.
I love Bionicles. Bionicles are the coolest things ever. I think that they get into that really awesome. I think it's probably the reason why I attached myself really well to Halo when I got older, a little bit older from there too, because I was like, Master Chief looks like a Bionicle. Because for real, like Bionicle had that really great design, and so I legitimately collected Bionicles up until I was in my like mid-teens. I think it's done now. I don't even know anymore. And then Heroescape. I loved Heroescape. Heroescape was my first foray into tabletop gaming, and that really opened the door for me to start playing eventually Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. But like the 2 things that I like, or 3 things I really collected: Pokemon, Bionicle, Heroescape, but now it's really just like everything that piques my fancy. There's no barrier for entry, but it's also like, oh my goodness, like every collectible, there's so much to it now. But I still collect, honestly, and this sounds a little cheap, but like I'm very lucky that I adore Pokemon and Halo because I collect our own stuff. I take home as much as I can within reason, and then sometimes I even purchase our stuff just because I'm like, oh my god, I want to have everything. Because again, it's not even out of pride. It's literally because it's like this is the stuff that I love the most. So yeah, definitely. I didn't grow up with like big collections, but they meant so much to me. I played the heck out of everything I had, though. Oh my god, yeah.
No, that's really awesome to hear, and it's great hearing that obviously you love the stuff you're working on as well, because that's so important.
It's crazy.
I am going to reach off of screen and just bring something in, and I'll have to like stitch a photo in the edit, but you can see this is where my money tends to go at the moment. So when it's not Halo, it's definitely Jurassic currently.
Right on.
Cool. So let's jump into the line itself, obviously. And I guess kind of the first question that I would like to ask is what was it like with obviously both of you being fans of Halo long term before the line? What was it like when you first got told that you'd got this license and you were going to get to work on it?
Well, it's funny because for me, it was actually one of the carrots on the stick to get me to join the company. I was in a very promising somewhere else, not looking for a different job. And Jeremy Padower and Michael Rinsler, the partners who were partners and co-owners of Wicked Cool Toys, gave me a call. We went back as far as Jack specific, so those guys were always like the best big brothers a guy could ever ask for in the toy business. And but I had to know what they were bringing to the table as well. Like I got a great job. What am I going to do other than hang out with two guys I love? And they're like, well, that's easy. We just got named very quietly, and don't tell anybody. We just got named a key partner for Halo. Yeah. And I was like, ooh, okay. Didn't take much more than that. And before I knew it, 2 weeks later, I was in a conference room with headphones on because they said, by the way, we're going to Redmond next week. Go ahead and put a line together. And I was like, well, my goodness, how did you get the line? Like, how did you get the license? And they're like, oh no, we pitched a line, but now it's your turn to go ahead and put that together. Within the first 2 weeks, I was in their office at 343 Studios, showing them a vision of what we thought we could do as a company and bring to the table, knowing full well that Joyride, McFarlane, Mattel, it all brought really good things to the table over the years. Stuff that still to this day resonates with fans, and that they're comparing our product to now, fast forward, a year and a half. It was a wonderful meeting. And what really pushed me over the edge of like, oh my goodness, is, just as a consumer products guy and a gamer and a collector, I knew that a lot had changed since the last Halo game. Gaming had changed a lot since 2015. Action figure collecting had changed hugely since 2015. And what they showed us and sneak peeked us, what they were able to give, and they brought the dev team in, what Infinite was going to be all about, it literally knocked me on my butt. Like, wow, if there's a company that gets it, that isn't just pumping out a franchise title every year in October, November, like clockwork, who gets what the core essence of this Hall of Fame franchise and understands how the market's changed and how gaming has changed and how console versus PC has changed. I walked out of there basically floating a foot or two off the ground, because this product line was going to be terrific, and the licensor and the developer truly got it. And holy cow! I think I floated all the way back down to LA. And I remember a young, very tall guy in the office that I was getting a casual, chatty relationship with, because we both would end up at the office at 6:30, 7 o'clock. Me being the new guy, wanted to get started, and him being like, he can't help himself. He works that early in the morning, and him just asking me questions about, so tell me about Halo. Did you guys go up there? What did you come back? And fast forward barely a month later, and we were both basically crafting this line, and it was awesome.
That was me.
Yeah, I had these
to be me.
So I guess you must have been really excited from the offset as well, then, Aaron.
Oh, it was crazy. It was like jumping into the ocean after swimming in a lake, except that lake was also an ocean, because I started with the Pokemon brand. I started with Pokemon, never really left, and then I was told that I'd be really, really diving into Halo, and I knew that there was this huge expectation. Video game fans are selective. Halo fans are selective. As a lifelong fanboy, I don't know, it's in the blood of every true fan to smell corporate mumbo jumbo, I guess, to keep it G. But yeah, so like the first, I was like, okay, I have to bring honesty to this. I'm a layperson fan. I grew up with it. I love it, but like, can I do it professionally? Can I, So the first thing I did was play. The first thing I did was play, and I watched and I read. There's a lot of Halo books.
Yeah.
But I do things every day on my drive to work. I'd listen through the scores of Martin O'Donnell and then Michael Salvatore's games. I'd set the mood for the day. If it was a low key day, I'd put on ODST, get some saxophones in there. But if I need to get hyped, if there was like something I had to get ready for, I'd listen to like To Kill a Demon from 3. That's like one of my all time favorites. So I'd get to work. I'd have a small chat with Greg that could possibly last super long because my attention span is very short. But I'd get to work. Licensor calls, meetings with designers, lots and lots and lots and lots of thought. If I had the time, I'd have Halo cutscenes playing in the background while doing busy work. Then when I get home, I'd play the games. But like my daily regimen was that for months until I felt like I could really call myself an expert instead of just a fan. It was like I was training, and that, like, again, I think that is what it takes to do this in a way that brings the heart and the love that I know is necessary to make incredible, Halo product.
Yeah, no, that's really good to hear. And no, I think it goes back really nicely to what you were saying earlier about actually sort of paying notice to everything in the community and knowing all of the little details that people pick up on. Because actually, it's really easy when there is such a big universe out there, especially like you say with so many books, to actually like miss out on something that's maybe been mentioned in a couple of lines in a book and then never again. So it's really cool that you actually dived all the way in, because that means that you'll pick up on a lot of things that I imagine the bigger fans will appreciate as well, which is cool.
And what Aaron brought to the table too, like, reinforces what he said earlier about teamwork, right?
Yeah.
I had a lot to do in a very short amount of time, and to become that level of expert that Aaron did, while also juggling the other levels of stuff that's just expected of me in my job description. I could have done it. It would have capsized me potentially in some ways, or my wife and I would have had issues or something. So, and I think it's reflected in just the level of everything that we're going to talk about later, that the fans are celebrating. Having someone that eager and bright and passionate about this really made a huge difference. I don't want to imagine the outcome any other way. So teamwork really did this, and Aaron was a key part of that.
Wow, thanks, man.
Yeah. I was going to say, it also embodies the value of the game that we all love, Halo Reach. Teamwork.
That's right.
We miss you every day, Noble Team.
Surviving.
Well said.
So obviously, under the Halo umbrella that you guys have put together, there's a great assortment of products out there. And I can remember the first Toy Fair pictures, because one of my friends was actually there in New York, where you had like the helmet, you've got the figures, you've got the 12-inch scale line, just everything all across there. There was a lot of stuff. So I'm interested, how did the idea to sort of brand all of that and bring it all together as the world of Halo scale come about? Like, where did that idea originate?
Yeah, again, the office was so small at that point. I'm sat in a conference room with a laptop that's still just fresh out of the box, and being in action figures for the previous 7 or 8 years, at least I had a very good firm understanding of what was in the marketplace, what we would be measured against, what the licensor would even expect as far as like, hey, not only what's out there, but what did our previous partners bring to the table, and then what are you guys going to do different? Like, you're not just going to level set the same thing that we've seen before, right? We don't want that. Fans don't want that. And I was happy to also chime in and go, I don't want that either.
Yeah.
So it became pretty evident that the world of scale is something truly meaningful and different and new that we could get behind, and we'll get deeper into that as we talk, because in many ways it had not been done the way maybe we were envisioning yet.
Yeah.
And in parallel to that, the 6-inch figure, as really to their credit, legitimized and made mass, the DNA of which started by McFarlane, and eventually, to their credit, Hasbro really just kicked the door down with that $20 Marvel Legends, Star Wars Black Series format. Where if you look at NPD, you know, obviously the research that drives the dollars and cents behind our business, that 6-inch figure, miraculously, because if you thought about it 8 years ago, people would be like, what? No, action figure should be $10. This $20 figure became the #1 selling format in all of action figures as far as single standalone SKUs and dollar drivers. So we had to have a kick butt, stands tall, and even maybe if we worked hard exceeds those lines, tall order, but we wanted the challenge, and you couldn't do one and not the other. So that was basically the platform with which we kind of developed, okay, Halo is so beloved and there's such a hunger for this, and we think we can do this so well, we're going to be bold enough to put out essentially 2 collectible figure scales. One meant for that guy like us who goes out and buys anywhere between 8 and 10 figures every 2 to 3 weeks a month, you know, as well as something that gratifies the younger play experience. You know, for a kid who's getting into action figures, we'd love to be that first cool experience, but with a level of quality and a level of, oh my gosh, that's a $10 4-inch figure. That guys like us would be like, wow, I have to kind of buy both. What am I not going to buy from another brand that I'm going to now double down on Halo with? And that was basically the foundation that we tried to leap from.
Cool. Yeah, Aaron, did you want to add anything else off of the back of that?
Yeah. So as Greg mentioned, we're not the first company to be making Halo toys. Like iconic, you know, Joyride, McFarlane, Revell, Mattel, like our friends at Mega. You know, they all had, or in some cases have, the license, and they've done something unique. So it's like, okay, like every time someone new gets a license, you want to always try to etch out something unique, something new, never been done before. So we set our sights on scale, as Greg said. I was lucky enough to go to Halo Outpost Discovery when it came last year or so, a little more than a year ago, and it made something, like the whole thing made a huge impact on me, because I was like, oh, nice. Because keep in mind, this is in the middle of like my regiment, so I'm like, yes, here we go, like taking photos and taking notes. But they had this huge wall, and it had the wall of every. I think it was listed as Covenant races, but every non-human race. I think a Marine was there. So every race in the Halo canon. And it made me realize that I am as tall, roughly, as a jackal. So thinking, and I am tall. I am a tall man. So thinking about that, think about like how Sangheili and Jiralhane, right, the brutes, how tall they were. Hunter, I was like, oh, crap, no wonder Marines were like cannon fodder compared to brutes. That moment like solidified everything for me. That like in scale figures would be this really cool way to build a battlefield. I will hearken, I will mention it, I will speak its name, the iconic, the truly legendary Halo 3 Believe campaign. Yeah. How much that made every Halo fan, every person who saw it feels something incredible that a video game oftentimes, and certainly not an advertisement, made someone never feel before, but the scale was there. It looked real, and I was like, it's not even a diorama thing, it's just simply building the world. So, you know, Greg said 6 inches collectors, and hey, you know, you can play with anything, right? But, you know, joy of imagination. But when you get to this 3 3/4 inch, let's really call it 4-inch scale, and around that, that's an action figure, tried and true. We want you to play with our toys. We want you to build the Believe, the entire war zone. But like Halo has been more and more appealing to younger audiences, and 343 has made the series, you know, T for teen in recent iterations. So like that's us. Like that's like what I wanted, you know, our team to do is allow people to build that out, allow people to feel that scale when they have a Marine in their hand, and when they have the brute chieftain, they're like, oh man. But also like beautiful figures, like no matter what scale, they gotta be beautiful. They gotta have great articulation. But they're in scale. Right?
No, yeah, I really like that. That's really cool, and I think that's something that I know for me at least, I've not really seen any toy companies go out of their way to do that. Like usually you have, like you say, that $10 golden price point, and it's okay, how can we like make all these figures similar at that price point? You don't really see people go out of their way to get the dimensions right. So I think it's really cool actually you committed to doing that. And I guess that kind of answers my next question in many ways, because I was going to ask, why did you choose to go with that 4-inch scale specifically? But I guess it must be because that is the easiest way to kind of hit that middle ground where you can get that nice price point and also still experiment with doing things in scale and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
sure.
and I can, I'll, yeah, I don't know. I think it would be a good time. We can sing the praises of our team too, in terms of just like because you said it, Tom. Like it's hard, and also like this sounds like I'm throwing Star Trek under the bus, but like Star Trek doesn't have like the widest variety of height differences when they, it's all anthropomorphic individuals who are all humans and, in suits and costumes, not to ruin the majesty. But I mean, like, there's a lot of different scale going on, and there's a lot of width and height that is different. So it's a lot of research, that we did to develop conversations internally with 343. I think on my end, it was like learning it wasn't just looking at the wall and the photos that I took of the wall, but like, specific characters that like, I think Tartarus, I think the one thing I like landed on was that Tartarus I think he's like way taller than other brutes, like way tall, like I think a whole 1.5 feet or something. So I was like, okay, well, if we end up doing him at some point, okay, we're gonna have to figure that one out.
Yeah.
But it's, working with design to translate that into, it's conceptual, or it's within a space that doesn't technically exist, a video game, and then render that in a real scale with something, with proportions. So like here, like the design team, they carried the line, and they still carry the line in an incredible way. Philosophy and initial scale and like terrain pieces, which was a big thing, that was mostly solidified by a former designer, Miguel Nash, and I. And then full design execution and expansion was done by Sandro Lopez, Jesse Hensley, Sean Knapp, and Tyrone Keys. But then everything, everything is overseen by the team at 343. Greg, if I don't want to mention every week, it's a really great but quite large team. But like I definitely want to spotlight the incredible dynamic duo of Rick Ackberger and Joe Firstel at 343, who guided us and educated us every single step of the way. But then like beyond the figure design for the world of Halo, it's we had to think about packaging too. So we have a powerhouse packaging team led by Chris Metzger and Steve Zidziak, and they had to answer. We all did, but they really had to answer this: like, how is a 3 3/4 inch Marine / 4-inch Marine and a brute who's about 5 inches, a little more than 5 inches tall, how are they going to look in the same package? But like, again, I think that adds to the cool factor, because you look at it and go, nice. Oh man, like, wow, like this looks in scale. So long answer, I know, but again, I felt like there was a time that we definitely like that scale took a lot of effort, and it was a true like team effort to execute it.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
And not to be unsung either, the management team that had to bless this, like, great ideas take great cheerleaders and great approval, and this was everybody holding hands and agreeing, because otherwise every toy company would do it. Why doesn't every toy company do scaled figures like that and push the limits of their ability to ship them, the ability to put them in the same case pack, the ability to get the right target product margin out of it, because it's a business, and having a management team that's creative and visionary in their own right, even if some of them went, wait, we want to do what? Once they saw some of the mock-ups. Great ideas, great advocates, and great partnership pushes through challenges. And we work for a company that's very much on the bleeding edge of that, to their credit. So they empowered us to do this, and that's important to note too. The Wicked Cool Toys and the Jazwares management teams saw what we were going for and saw what Halo and 343 were trying to accomplish. And thankfully, again, it wasn't a simple one phone call conversation. It took a lot of meetings, took a lot of problem solving, but we did it again as partners. And that's just endemic in every level of our company, which is why it's such a great place to be.
Yeah, definitely. No, it sounds like that. And it's good that they actually had that faith to say, yeah, do you know what, you've got this idea. This isn't something that we traditionally see in this retail space. but go for it, do it, push it out there, and make this product line stand out. And I think that's where, especially a lot of like you say, hardcore fans who are going to be really up on all of these details are appreciating having this brute captain, for example, who could literally rip apart the marine if he wanted to. It's just really cool for fans to see that.
Yeah.
We couldn't bring that Outpost Discovery wall into all of our meetings, so typically we'd start the meeting by Aaron and I would stand up next to each other and just show everyone and go, so this is our Halo line. Because on a good day with a pair of Nike Air Maxes on, I'm like 5'7", maybe 5'7.5". Aaron, he has to duck when he walks through door frames, and we were a good physical embodiment of what we were trying to get in plastic. And again, kudos to everyone for helping make it happen. And thanks to the fans, they seem to really appreciate it too.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to hook me up with some Mjolnir armor, I'd make a great Spartan. I am in scale for Spartan. I would love some Mjolnir armor.
That'd be really awesome. Maybe we'll see you cameoing in the new Halo TV show. There you go.
Yeah.
Cool. So I did want to ask, when it came to sort of deciding on that scale as well, did maybe some of the confines of other lines in the past sort of influence that? Because I know for me, as I said, I grew up with Halo Reach, so I had like nearly all of the McFarlane figures from that line, and I can remember one year they previewed, like a prototype of a Falcon that was going to come out, and then it never released. So obviously there was a mixed reception to that because fans had seen this big vehicle and it was going to be the biggest one in the line, and then never happened. So were you kind of aware of things like that and wanting to be able to tackle that sort of stuff with your own line as well?
Greg, do you want to take it, or I can?
Go for it.
Yeah.
We're aligned on the vision there as well as the difficulties there. So yeah, go for it.
So as example, let's talk about the Warthog. So in real life, that sucker's like 20 feet long.
Yeah.
So to keep scale, we need to make sure that it felt 20 feet long comparative, detail, playability. It's another thing that, you have to balance everything because this is an action figure line. It's supposed to look good and it's supposed to articulate really well, but also it's, we got to play with it too. It's a balancing act. I'm glad, really excited about what we accomplished. So to answer your question, we're exploring a lot of iconic vehicles. I almost want to say every iconic vehicle because, dude, I want that. But I have no doubt. I think people are going to be very, very, very happy. But it's a balancing act for sure. Because the Warthog itself is really large. So let's make that comparative to a huge, ship or something like that. You'll see.
Cool. I like that. Cool. So moving forward, I feel like you've kind of alluded to this already, especially with things like obviously getting details right, getting these figures in scale. But for both of you, what was kind of the most important thing that you wanted to get right with this line of toys? Like, what was the one thing where during production you were like, if there's one thing we nail with this, I want it to be this?
Right. I'll tell you what, like strategically, you can map out price points. You can map out where you can find white space or where you can shine, against other competitive brands. But the through line through all of that, when it comes to working on a franchise like Halo, it's got to be authenticity. Yeah. Our job, like every licensee's job for licensors, to bring their IP to life in plastic. So that's just a base ground we work from. But it's our duty to ourselves, to 343, to Wicked Cool Toys, Jazwares, to excite and gratify all that creative passion, all that otherworld thinking that comes across in the game maker's mind, the publisher's mind, the players of the game's mind, and figure collectors. In this bubble thinking, all right, I gotta sell this figure to that figure fan. And I did a lot of deep research when I was working on Power Rangers. My friends and customers there were also buying WWE Elites. They were also buying Marvel Legends. They were buying other action figures because we're all consumers and lovers and fans of multiple franchises. I'm into Transformers. Well, I'm into GoBots. That's a long time ago. And that line in the sand doesn't exist for most of us. We all love a lot of stuff. And the through line to even that is authenticity. What are we going to bring to Halo that's got that authentic Halo thing? and is also authentic to our company's values and our vision as creators to go, wow, you know, I don't know which figure I love better. I got these 3 or 4 different franchises and companies in front of me on my shelf, because we're collectors too, and we care about that. And we know that we all buy deep, we buy often, and at the end of the day, we want our Master Chief and Spartan and Marine and Bad Guy to be on your shelf looking heroic against your previous versions of them, as well as whatever else you're buying this year.
Yeah. So in my case, just Master Chief Chulin with a ton of dinosaurs. I like that. That's a photo I'll have to set up.
That's
Cool.
right,
Aaron,
please.
yeah. What about you? What was the most important thing for you kind of going into it?
Oh man, I mean, like, I think I've harped on it earlier too, where it's like I'll keep this one short and simple because I think Greg really said it all. But for real, like, it's the through line. Everything. It's got to be the circle. It's got to be really honest, and we're shooting for the stars. You know, we're trying to give you everything at a good price point, but it's all got to be loyal. That's the big thing. It has to be Halo. It has to be truly authentic. It has to be truly, but truly honest as well. This is not coming from a bunch of people who are just trying to make stuff. This is coming from a group of individuals who all love the IP, who all love what they do, and who all want to make people happy. And again, like, that's why, like, this release has been so special for me, that I see the photos that people are taking, and people DM me, and some people DM me not so kind things, and that's totally fine. I actually don't do that, but please.
Yeah, we're not advocating for that, guys.
Don't do that. But like, when people reach out and say like thank you, or like, I can tell that like you guys really love this, like, that's the greatest thing in the world, because that's what we want. That's what our through line was, that when you saw this, you're like, wow, not only is this awesome objectively, but like, the people who made this really, really cared.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see what else they do, because man, we got some insane stuff planned. So that is my answer.
Cool. I like that. Slowly building the hype. Cool. Yeah, so I guess moving on from that, we'll talk a little bit about your personal preferences with the line. And this is going to be a hard question because it's basically choosing your favorite child. So out of all of the products which are on shelves right now, do you both have a favorite figure that's out there?
I've been trying to figure this out
for Aaron.
myself.
Do you want some more? Do you want some more time?
No, I've thought about this
Pull
enough.
the Band-Aid off.
That's right, rip it off. Okay, so I want to separate. So we got World of Halo and Spartan Collection. World of Halo, I'm a huge fan of the Grunt Conscript. I love the Grunt Conscript. I've always loved the Ungoi. Not only are they comedic, I love their lore. I feel for them legitimately. I think that we need more justice for our grunts. That said, I love the design, and I love the way our designers really captured the look that they're taking in Infinite. It's really, really exciting. But gotta be honest, once, you know, everything was conceptual, everything was like nebulous, and then I got my hands on the Brute Captain, and I was like, oh no! Like, memes aside, that dude is big, and his armor is it's so cool and really well thought out. Spartan Collection wise, I love the Mark 7. I love the Mark 7. It's the red armored one. The concept designer for Halo Infinite, Isaac Hannaford. They recently released that public-facing, or actually multiple now, as of like yesterday, I think. But a few weeks ago, they had that first look, and I was like, oh my god, finally, I can talk about the Mark 7. I love that design. Isaac Hannaford killed it. He did such a good job. So I'm really happy that, like, out the gate we got to make something really truly new. Because man, it's just a sharp design. Yeah, there, I ripped it off.
It's done.
Yeah, but when it comes to the Spartan Collection, that's really tough to choose. It ends up becoming more like subjectively favorite because all 4 of them are just so gorgeous.
Yeah.
The quality, the craftsmanship that the team put into those. I'll do my quick Band-Aid rip-off for that one. I'll just go for Kat. She just looks awesome. To be able to have such a different body type and different appendages compared to the other figures, she stands alone so well, but that same level of craftsmanship just takes different form with her.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to World of, I too stand for Craig. That figure is just a beast. it's so gratifying to hold when you pull it off the peg for the first time. For those who are lucky enough to, get to Target so far and be able to find one on the peg, it just feels different compared to the other figures, and not at the expense of the other figures. Like, you're like, oh my goodness, did somebody accidentally stick a 6.5-inch figure in this packaging? And when you get him out and hold him, he's just brilliantly executed. And then a fun fact, internally, as we were developing the full figure line, but with this one in particular, due to a casual misspelling in an internal email, the Brute actually was referred to affectionately as Bruce. So we somehow, somebody will cop to it someday, but the T became a C. So before Craig even happened, which I was like, wait, Craig? He was Bruce amongst us, and we lovingly, affectionately called him that, with the course, the contrast being, what a hulking monster of a figure. Yeah. What a pleasant, affable name. Oh, hey, it's Bruce. But then Craig happened. But yeah, what a nice, fun feather in our cap as a piece of product, but also as a fun pop culture moment.
Yeah.
I'm bummed out that Craig happened because it made it well, actually, I'm not really bummed because I love it, but it's so funny that the name Craig came out of, because it's the same thing, despite the fact that the Bruce thing was a misspelling. Craig and Bruce I would love to meet them. They sound great. Both of them, there's very likable names, and they're both so far from Atriox. Yeah. So I it was so funny when Craig came out, because it was really confusing to us, because we were like, did the Halo community just Bruce? Whoa, okay, cool, we feel legit. But it was just funny because it was like, oh, I guess the meme is now, there's the internal one and now there's the external one too. Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Just Halo memes for everyone.
That's right.
Cool. I think I'd say, for me, probably the one I'm most excited to get my hands on is the Marine, purely because I love that you actually committed to doing the BDU work on the camouflage. That looks so good. And it's...
I was about to say, I was going to ask you a question. Which one? There's two different ones.
I like the variant that comes in the 2-pack, but I feel like probably the single card pack, purely because as of the time of recording this, you're the only guys who have done a commando. So obviously, I was saying before, I collect a lot of Mega as well. They've not done the commando yet. So if I go with that figure and I go with you guys, I get the commando, I get that really cool new weapon, and I get a Marine who just looks kick-ass.
Yeah, you'll get your code too. But that's
Yep.
That's right.
Cool, man.
Game code included.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think that's just another really cool side of it as well. And obviously it's something that I feel like people don't touch on that much, but actually you do get some added value there with getting that stuff in the game as well, which is quite nice. Cool.
Yeah, that was such an exciting because that was one step one thing was walking into Greg's office being like, hey, am I insane? You think that we could do this? To have a little bit, and 343 being the coolest partners ever. They're just like, let's talk, let's do it, let's have a conversation about this, and here we are.
There you go. It's happened. It's a part of history now. Cool. So I do just want to touch on very, very briefly the fact that obviously the line, you have got your single figures, but you also have vehicles. So you've got obviously the Warthog, like we mentioned, the Mongoose, the Ghost. And then you have also got 2-packs, including that really, really nice 2-pack with Jagger, who is just beautiful. So would they always plan to be part of this line alongside everything else? Did you always want to have kind of those different price point items as well for people to pick up?
Yeah, so yeah, absolutely is the answer, is the short answer. Vehicles are as iconic as characters to sci-fi in general, right? But the Halo, you got your Spartan. Do you have your Warthog? Huge. For the 2-packs, it allowed us for 2 checkboxes to be covered. This one was really important to me, so I really pushed hard for it. Army building. Yeah. Again, World of Halo, we're making the world, so we're emulating the games. The games have a lot of Marines and Grunts, both of which die a lot, but they're really great characters as a whole. Great figures as a whole. Let's put them, so that's why in Wave 1 you have a Marine and Grunt 2-pack. So buy 3 of those, all of a sudden you can recreate a realistic battle. And then B, 2 packs allowed us to pack out iconic face-offs, provide consumers with a good guy, bad guy showdown. And what was really fun was when we were building out Wave 1, and you'll see in the future releases as well, sometimes it's not even. Yes, you've got Chief versus the Chieftain, but Jake pretty menacing, despite how cool the Mark V is. Jaga with 2 energy blades, energy swords. I don't know. Maybe he might cinch victory on that.
Cool. So I do just want to touch on something quickly. And obviously, I think we all appreciate that coronavirus especially has had a massive impact on availability of products. But obviously, as a UK guy myself, if our listeners couldn't tell, I did just want to ask if you're able to comment on international availability yet. So will these toys be popping up in places like Europe, those kinds of places as well?
Yeah. Super important. I'll let Greg cover the specifics, because it's good news all around for sure.
Cool.
I know some confusion happened recently. I'm a part of a bunch of collector groups on Facebook and other such places because, again, part of my research and making sure everyone's happy. Greg, do you want to? I'll like, because I don't want to mince words, because I know that you got the good stuff. You got the beats.
No, indeed. Look, definitely a challenging year across the board, right?
Yeah.
And I think we were all, as fans and partners, we were all working alongside 343 with a fall 2020 date in our, to work towards.
Yeah.
With shifts there, with a number of different things going on with retailers this year. Everyone working as hard as they possibly can to normalize business in a weird year. We definitely have some realignment and shuffling when it comes to certain levels of retail support. But in light of that, and because, again, we have our ears to you guys and we've been listening over the last 7 to 10 days, we've been working really hard to make sure that for the fourth quarter, obviously leading into Christmas, that we've got, some level of support that will make fans happy outside the U.S., outside North America, of course.
Cool.
I can confirm, without giving you guys dates or even like which SKUs, but just as of now, I can certainly say that we have the strong support of Very, Amazon, B&M, Game, and GameStop. And that list, and that list should organically continue to change and grow between now and spring. I think with that confirmed, then now there being some pipeline of information to keep people like they're in the dark or fearful that they won't get Halo product until the game actually drops. We'll keep sharing that through our trusted social media and partners like you guys to make sure everyone knows. But it was a lot of the aspects of business this year have been touch and go, and everyone working hard, everyone really banding together to make sure that we can deliver. Resulted in that, which is nice, and I think you'll see that list growing in the coming weeks.
Cool. Yeah, well, that's me excited.
A lot of our communication, we try to keep communication open and very candid. And that's I think the reason why it we just want to make sure that it's out there, and we're going to do more. We're going to actually be talking more openly about hey guys, this is the news. Literally it killed me to have to sit here going I refuse to give non-answers. I refuse to go into a group and be like, hey guys, do not worry, you're going to get your, I didn't want to just say that. I want to say, here's who's getting it. Here's who's getting it. And so, that's why it kind of took a little bit longer, but now you know. Now you know. It's not just one place. It is quite a handful of places.
I think we all appreciate that, and obviously as fans I'd like to hope that most people understand that this has not been a normal year for anyone. There's been challenges that nobody could have seen coming, and I mean, I know from the Microsoft side of things that they've been really heavily pushing Halo for the past year, so I think everyone appreciates that things might be on hold for a little bit, but that stuff is all still coming eventually, and it's just going to be a little bit further down the line. So cool, and thank you for just being so open with that, because I think a lot of fans will appreciate that.
Indeed. Our retailers are our partners. We don't just drop it like it's hot with the product and then go, well, they didn't sell it, or how come you didn't put it on shelves? They're our partners, and they also, in different ways and in some of the same ways, have been affected by this whole year the same way we have, the same way 343 has, the same way Microsoft in general has. Like, we've all felt this in different various ways, and we all hold a level of responsibility to putting product out there. So that's why we took a little extra time to make sure that we did this in partnership, and it wasn't just like, oh, well, we don't know what to tell you guys. We made the product. That's not how we operate, and thankfully our partners don't operate that way either.
No, exactly. That's really good to hear, and I think a lot of kind of European and UK fans will be reassured to hear that. So that's awesome. I'm going to take you on to a nice topic now. I'm going to say, and I will prelude this by saying, for anyone listening, obviously this is going to be both of your opinions. So it doesn't mean something is going to get made. It's just what you guys as fans would like to see.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that context. That's always important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks. I was gonna have to say
it. Yeah. So with that prelude, are there any characters or vehicles which you guys would really like to add to the line in the future from previous Halo games?
Go for it, Aaron.
Oh, well, no. No. I got an answer for this. Okay, so this is, again, very personal. Vehicles. I'm a big Grunt fan, as I said. I think that making a goblin would be very fun, and it would be a very cool toy. I love that thing. My personal opinions on sci-fi are stay as far away from human-centric as possible. So all fantastic non-human characters and variants through the games I love. Sangheili Honor Guard, obviously, coolest. Oh my god, I want to make one of those so badly. And then Suicide Grunt, because it's iconic. It is iconic, and it's such a it would make such a cool fig. And flood forms, if they're not too gory to sit on shelf, or if they're not too gory, so they would sit on shelf, so parents would go, what? No.
So we're not having like Captain Keys with a pop-outable face play feature then?
I don't know.
Maybe for specialty markets.
Cool.
But that's the thing, and that's the thing, it's Halo. It is not. We're not working on a small brand at all, and we know that is not just iconic, but a bit essential, especially to the narrative of the first game. So keep your eyes open, and we certainly are. We want to do what we want to do as well as what works, and I think a lot of that crosses over.
Cool. Greg, what about you? What are some things you want to see, hopefully, in the future?
Yeah. In the continued parallels and convergences of Greg and Aaron's world, but my personal spin being on it, I any franchise, I've always been intrigued by character design in general, but for villains especially. One of the least money making but proudest creative gear shifts that I feel like I did at Power Rangers was make sure we got villains back into the mixes. Yeah. The Sentai Monster of the Week character design that Toei does in Japan for whether it's for Masked Rider, whether it's for Super Sentai, the creative powerhouse of being able to grind out amazing, bizarre, and sometimes what were they thinking monster designs. And literally, there was a minimum of 38 episodes per season of both Masked Rider and Sentai. So, and they did not reuse. If they cleverly reused parts, credit to them, because you can't always tell looking at those costumes. So the ability to do that in some Power Rangers figures, I think we did it in 2015 and 16 for I think maybe Super Mega Force and maybe Dino Charge. That informs my point of view, which is I love villain figures, especially when they're really cool looking or menacing looking.
Yeah,
there are some killer enemies in Halo. I think Aaron mentioned Tartarus before. Yeah. I mean, that guy's epic and a very distinctive look, and just an ass kicker. But yeah, I agree on the Flood. The Flood, it's got elements of horror. It's got elements of really elemental, almost like sickness to them.
Yeah. And
if we can do that in a way that satisfies the mass market, but also, and not just the visual, like Aaron alluded to, but even to do them justice, in their various forms, they also can't break out of the package or mess up our packaging sizes. But they're such that's evil at a glance right there. So I love interesting characters like that. The heroes are the heroes, and they all stand tall and shine.
Yeah.
I gotta admit, I've always gravitated towards blame Boba Fett, blame Darth Vader, blame some of those early character designs I was exposed to as a kid. That goes like, that guy's clearly a bad guy. I love it. Even how I like wrestlers too, like Stone Cold Steve Austin turned the dime for me. I was like, Hulk Hogan's cool, but whoa, that guy's a badass. So villain design is great. Character design in general is great, but villains are awesome.
Cool. I feel like my answer would be one that you've probably had in your DMs like 100 times at this point, Aaron, which is ODST.
Oh, I do screen caps of all those. In case anyone ever pushes back, we have screen caps on our phones of how many ODSTs we've been hit with.
I have oh my goodness, and it's 100%. And not saying that ODST doesn't have staying power, which it does. One of my favorites. No, I think that the fact that we launched right when ODST was thrown into the Master Chief Collection, people, I think not just me, but people were like, yo, wait, this rules. This is such a cool game. It's such a cool cast of characters. Hey, we're listening. We are listening. Oh my gosh. the laundry list that I have, and the folders and subfolders that I have of people DMing me about what they want. We're listening. It's one of the most important things to me, to the entire team, to be listening.
No, cool. That's good to hear. So I kind of feel like we've nicely spoke about sort of the World of Halo line and obviously how that scale came about, what were some of the key elements of it. But obviously, as we alluded to, there is also the Spartan Collection. So how did that line come about? And I'm quite interested specifically in the branding with Spartan Collection, because I think that's quite cool how that sort of very definitively says what it is on the tin, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it clearly says what it is, and it also clearly doesn't say other things that people have been, again, barraging us with requests and questions. And that's cool, and who knows, maybe that was by design. But at the end of the day, again, we needed to stand tall with figures that both the Halo fans were already collecting, and again, that kind of collector figure agnostic point of view I described before, where your Kylo Ren is going to stand there right next to one of the Spartan Collection as well, and we take that seriously. So the Spartan Collection as a level of quality, the packaging being a little bit of like there's a different like touch and feel to the packaging, whether it was using matte versus like spot UV here and there. That was all to answer to clearly the market demand and the competitive high bar set. Even internally, we have some 6.5-inch figures in our company and other licenses that are, holy cow, how do they get that many deco ops on that figure? The sculpt is amazing. So high bar to reach for. And then when it came to itself, the Spartan Collection, so focusing on a specific category of beloved character in this franchise, obviously we needed to heroize them. Like there's a hall of fame of fighters, of heroes in our lore. The Spartans obviously are the first you think of, but it opens the door for other things as well. And for me, a guy that has to kind of plot this out through strategy, legitimize the business with your key golden asset, create that level of demand and hunger amongst the fandom, and then as they exactly are right now, let them come to us, and by us I mean retail, our management team, us, 343, and go, oh, we love this. Can we get these as well? And guess what? They're not Spartans. So that opens the door for 2021 and 2022 to go, great, we have a proven figure format, proven price point, and thankfully to all you guys, a proven consumer base that will come out, even if we kind of zig or zag off of the initial platform of the Spartan Collection. And that opens us up to just really, truly fun and endless opportunities.
So the Ungway Collection is a possibility.
Aaron Margolin.
If Aaron but again, for the best lines I've ever worked on, the fans had a say, and fan demand will ultimately tell the story here. Because we know the Halo universe is much more than just the Spartans, even though they are, the heart and soul of it in many ways. So if this scale is intriguing to you as a fan, you want more, you want to buy deeper. Halo is an embarrassment of riches, and we could keep that going for sure in other ways that still deliver on that same price, that same level of quality and so on. So we're in very early days here, but we're encouraged by what we hear, and I think the fan support will help legitimize and justify that to anyone that goes, why would you want to do that? Well, here's why.
And
Cool.
like, to the extent of like, an awesome fan photographer made an Instagram account, a fan Instagram account dedicated to our line, like as a whole, just World of Halo and Spartan Collection. But he hosts polls like of like what people want, which is
Yeah.
the coolest thing because a lot of responses. And like that Instagram account has gotten hundreds and hundreds of followers in I think 2 weeks of existing
Yeah.
or something, which is really exciting just from ground up. He sends me all the poll results because I asked him for it. I was like, listen, this is important to me. Like, I want to see what
Yeah.
people want. So we're listening.
Cool. Staying on the topic of the Spartan Collection then, what was sort of the key thing that you wanted to differentiate from with this line, apart from the scale? I think one thing for me, and I actually did some research for this show, on my lunch break I was sat watching reviews. I noticed that on the Mark 7, for example, you've got loads and loads of paint apps on the Recon again there to kind of like really make all of the little details on that sculpt pop with that figure. Kind of the focus, were there other things that you were hoping to more lend towards this line? Where did that sort of come down to?
I think quality certainly for that price point and comparing against other lines for sure, but to do so again not at the expense of or at the detriment to the World of line, like making both formats as realistic and spot on as possible. But the Spartan Collection does allow for some flexing in other directions as well, like the extra levels, both by virtue of the size and scale and the ability to kind of hit those deco paint ops correctly, but also like if you're going to buy again both lines, you always want to look at both and go, I'm glad I bought both because this one delivers this and the other one delivers that. Right now it might just be like things like exclusivity of characters within like the two ranges to make sure that other than some key characters that you would be very happy to own in both formats, that there is some visual differentiation. And even from a salesmanship standpoint, I can only get this character in this format or in this 2-pack of World of or in this single pack of World of. So there's definitely some thoughtful strategy that goes in there. But at the end of the day, it's the format itself and our creative team's ability to really shine that helps gratify both purchases, but gives you different reasons to love each one.
Cool. Okay. Did you want to add anything off of the back of that, Aaron?
No, I mean, well, honestly, it's like, same. There's a lot of internal philosophy overlap between World of Halo and Spartan Collection, detail, articulation, all that stuff.
Cool.
Next level, all of that. And, and then like, it was definitely like, I think character selection was a big thing for me too, and you'll definitely see that in the future waves. Big time, like character selection, lots of philosophy going on. And there's a lot of long games being played. A lot of people, keep in mind, we only have 4 figs out right now. There's a lot of long games being played, and as Greg mentioned way earlier, we're looking a couple years ahead at least. Yeah. So I think the philosophy of what we've started, it will ring through and ring true over time. I mean, everything that Greg said, but like really just like hitting all of the essentials for that scale, and then truly pushing the heart through all of it too.
Cool. Well, we will start to wrap things up here because we've been going for a long time. I've got a couple of final questions. So, speaking broadly, obviously you've been working on the IP, you said about a year now, just over a year. Give or take, yeah.
Give or take, yeah.
We've been going at it hard since I'd say May of 19, right?
Yeah,
okay, cool.
I would say so.
Sound about right, Aaron? Yeah.
It blends in at this point because of COVID, but I'm pretty sure it was May of last year.
Yeah.
Cool. So during that period, have there what's been your biggest standout moment working on this line? Like, I know you said you got to go up to 343. Did you get to see the Halo Museum? Is that something you've done? What have been those kind of highlights?
Did you get to see the Halo Museum, Greg? I haven't been.
No, Aaron and I share the same desire to see that. I have not seen it yet. Our trip was very focused especially when you're meeting the dev team who are, God, as you know, like they're just so deep in making a great game. So we basically scheduled that trip and our itinerary around their availability. And like I said before, just a glimpse into what they're thinking, even as far back then, as far as what Infinite would become. If you, I would have fallen over if you did drag me into the museum at that point, because like, what are you going to overwhelm me with now?
Yeah.
But I think the highlights, it's simple. It's the partnership, and I know Aaron's got a lot of deep day-to-day trench relation to that too that he can express. But just a deep level of partnership and passion between a licensor and a licensee, which is by definition on paper a business relationship, but one with a shared vision and goal that says we want to make the best stuff possible. And the road's not always easy. There's always roadblocks. There's always surprises. But the ability to weather those, but also exploit and maximize the greatness of this brand together. I live for those kind of partnerships. And the 343 team really does their part in over-delivering in that respect. And I think, again, you don't have to know the backstory, but it does literally inform every single item that you guys have bought so far, and that Aaron has teased in the coming months and 1 to 2 years for sure.
I think Greg, I think he hit like exactly it, and like I'm trying to land on one thing, but like I can't stress enough how incredible the collaboration with 343 is on this. Making toys is hard. Making toys for a Megaton brand like this is a gig that comes with a lot of rules that 343 has to, by just nature, has to uphold. They're not only kind and patient, but like every member of the Halo team that we work with, from the Jazwares, there's every member of the Halo team, period, from our side, from the Jazwares side to 343's side. They're the best. Like, it's just the coolest team. I could say, like, my personal favorite moment, like, 2020 New York Toy Fair. It was the first toy fair I had ever been to. We got to unveil the line in this dramatic way with the doors and stuff like that. And it was, I mean, that was such an exciting moment for me, because it felt like I had been waiting for something like this my entire life. I literally went back to the hotel room. I'm exhausted from a million-hour day, and I call up my girlfriend, and I just started to cry because I was just so thrilled, so excited, because it was like, oh my goodness, I poured my heart and soul into this. Like, the entire team poured everything into this, and people are not only excited, they're happy. And their mega fans are happy, and that like meant the world to me, because again, it was like, oh my God, like the recognition is so cool. And then to see that again, now that people have the figures in their hands, it's incredible. But like, it all circles back to the basis. It circles back to the philosophy. But even before that, it's the seeds that grow into the tree. It's the team. Every time we get on call with 343, for like a brainstorm or just a normal, licensor call, it feels like we're capturing magic a little bit, just because there's so much back and forth. It's not just professional, as Greg said. It's like legitimately fruitful from a personal standpoint, and again, it translates. So there's no clear winner on first. It's like Toy Fair was amazing, but legitimately, like, it's awesome to look forward to talking with your business constituents.
It was also the last time we all got together in a meaningful way like that, because literally 2 to 3 weeks later, everything was on lockdown. So to set it off with that kind of level of excitement and enthusiasm, we just walked out of there so proud, and also clearly like enticed to start showing everyone even more. We knew that our next milestone would end up, again, until 3 weeks later and all changed, we knew our next milestone would be E3, and then after that, maybe something in August, and then maybe get something again in September. Again, testament to the team that we've still carried that lightning bolt feeling from February into even today. And it's easy to do when you have a franchise like this to do it with.
Greg, thank you so much for reminding me. Thank you so much for reminding me that I got cheated out of going to E3 and potentially Comic-Con this year. I have never been to either. and I was like, well, super looking forward to this. And then COVID hits, and I was like, people have worse problems, but oh no.
Well, when you get to go next year, we'll be closer to release again. Everyone will be even more hyped up, and it will just explode. Fingers crossed, touch wood, we'll be fine next year. Cool. So I guess really we will round it out with, is there anything you'd like to tease for the future? Obviously, I know you can't say much, but if there's like any cryptic words you want to say to tease people, feel free to go ahead.
Yeah, like incoming transmission.
We're in this fun, weird space now where we just got launched on retail, right? So that's good. And it's still a staggered launch. Like really in North America, we've only been able to really make a splash at Target. We know Walmart and Amazon are literally hot on their heels. So this initial like sting of like, oh my gosh, they're here, let's get some is still among us. But we're not going to rest on those laurels for much longer because, what comes after wave one? Well, if you can keep up with counting, it's wave two. And there was no level of tease or sneak peek at New York Toy Fair for what that would look like. So we have some really good stuff to show. We're going to do something fun in the very near future between us and 343 team to keep that excitement and momentum going, because before you know it, it'll be January and February, the new year. And by your and my clock, that's time to get some new figures on shelf, isn't it?
Yeah, so to continue off of that, next year's the 20th anniversary of Halo. And so I spent the time that Greg said that trying to be like, how can I make this spooky and cryptic? I can't wait to see. I want a 10-minute explainer from someone to break down this next sentence that is actually very, very obvious what I'm saying. But 20th anniversary of Halo, as we move into the future, we're excited to look into the iconic past. So keep your eyes open.
I feel like we should just end on that.
Period. Done. No.
And look, again, everything's about hope. Like Halo Infinite, it's all about hope and being the hero, right? The shift in date for the game, all that does for us as a partner, and I think for us as a fandom and as collectors, what that really means is that, well, yeah, we got an entire full year in 2021 to be talking about Halo, experiencing Halo, celebrating Halo. So no matter when that game release date drops or the tease to whenever that happens, we have a full year locked and loaded of excitement that was built for whenever the game is going to come out, right? Yeah. Again, partnership means you got a good structure and a good thing that can withstand change and challenge. What that means to me as kind of guys look at this in 2 or 3 years into the future, that just means our 2021 is fully locked and loaded. It actually gives us even more momentum into 22. So we've got a full year of excitement and surprises to look forward to from our venerable partners at 343, as well as some really good stuff we've got in the chamber for us in beautiful pieces of plastic.
Cool. Well, yeah, thank you so much for making this possible, guys. I mean, we've spoke for nearly 2 hours, which is crazy. And I really do appreciate you both getting up so early to make this possible. It's been a lot of fun hearing from you both.
It was our pleasure. We love. Also, we've been up for a bit. We're early risers.
Our work day
just get started.
Our work days start early. We got a lot of stuff to pack in today, and we've been looking forward to this. And we're very grateful for the chance to talk to you and to have a nice connection to the fandom. That again, we do it every day. We breathe it every day. But we love opportunities like this to be heard and also to hear your thoughts on what you love about our line and what you want to see in the line.
Yeah, no, definitely. And hopefully people watching this video will leave loads of comments, say the things that they've been picking up, enjoying, all that kind of stuff. So hopefully there'll be a nice little resource there for you guys to pick on as well.
Always, everything.
We'll be watching and reading every single one. It's our commitment. It's our commitment to Halo. It's our commitment to Jazwares, and it's our commitment to the fandom.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, on that note, why don't you guys let people know where they can learn more about the line on social media and kind of keep an eye on what's coming out in the future?
I mean, we've got all of our official Jazwares accounts that we release, photos and news and stuff like that. We've got some really great plans of how we can collaborate with 343 on that. So obviously, if you don't already, follow the official Halo channels as well. Definitely follow all of the Jazwares accounts. Greg and I also have individual accounts as well. I think all of them are just linked to our names except for my Instagram. Yeah, only nice things though. Just reach out with some nice things.
I'm from Brooklyn. Send me the ugly stuff and the beautiful stuff. I'll take them in equal measure.
I just dig up the ugly stuff. I find it anyway. I just don't need it to me.
I've gotten some 5:15 a.m. texts from Aaron to that subject. Hey, good morning and XYZ. Great. Let's start the day. Let's roll up our sleeves and get it done.
Right.
You're like, it can only go uphill from here.
Yeah. Start down, right?
Yeah.
Wake up to a heartbreak. No, never any of that. So it's been so exciting. But like, yeah, I mean, we're around. That's the big point of kind of what we've been saying this entire time is that we are around. We're listening. We're happy to communicate. We want to help, and we want to be excited with everyone because that's like. The job isn't, the job is like half as fun if we can't get excited about what we love or love about what we should be excited about, what we're making. And I think we're really lucky that there's a personal love and there's a professional love for it. So we'll continue to do what we got to do and what we want to do.
Cool. Well, on that note, I hope that everybody has enjoyed listening to this very special episode here on Podcast Evolved. Like we say, do make sure to leave your comments and your feedback down below on the YouTube video. I'm sure the guys will appreciate checking that out. And until the next one, evolved. You can say it, guys.
I'm doing the pointy thing too.
Oh,
I thought
I
this
was
was
going
like a
like,
Nardwar thing.
say evolved.
Oh, evolved! It is like a Nardwar
Evolved.
thing. Wait, you want to do it again?
Hold up, yeah, hold on.
Me too. Or should we say it at the same time?
Right, but I'll do the whole thing again. It's fine.
Go for it.
Thanks for
And by
joining
the way,
us.
don't cut this out. Please keep this
Yeah,
in.
just keep this.
Okay. Right. Thanks for joining us for this special episode. And until the next one, evolve.
Evolve.
Ball!
Greg.